Hey guys, it's the Chad, your C10 truck nerd. Well, we're back here with the Forest build, and I've already run into another problem. You know, a few weeks ago we pulled his bed, sent it down to Eric at Outlaw Metalworks in Oklahoma to be cut down to a shorty, and problem is, he's really fast. You know, he called me and said, hey, I'm done with yours and Garrett's bed, and you need to come down and pick him up. And big issue is I don't have anywhere to put it, you know. I could put it back on the chassis, but it doesn't make sense because we're gonna be pulling everything off of here. I can't just leave it sitting in the driveway with all the Karens in the neighborhood. I really don't have room to put it on the floor of the shop because I'm trying to paint in there. It's just, there's no really good options right now, but I need to make it mobile. So I decided, hey, I'm gonna go through and build me a bed cart, but the same token, I'm gonna need one for the cab as well. So I'm gonna create this universal cab and bed cart for 67 to 72 C10s. And I mean, really, how hard could it be? It's, well, probably pretty hard because I've never done it before. And we'll see how this thing turns out. Yeah. Well, if you guys aren't familiar with my channel, I'm a guy that's, you know, very budget oriented, or, you know, AKA cheap, but I'm gonna go through and try to build this bed cart out of scraps. You know, I've got a bunch of stuff out in the shop that I've been hoarding for a while. My buddy Matt tore his shelves out of his shop and said, hey, would you be interested in these 2x4s? And I'm like, yeah, you know, never know. You save it for a rainy day, and that's what we're gonna do. So let's run out to the shop, see what we got out there, and let's make this contraption happen. Is that the word, contraption? I like it. Alrighty, so like I said, we're gonna go through and build this whole universal cart out of scrap 2x4s. I had a bunch left over from building the shop a few years ago. I've already started cutting a few pieces of wood with the miter saw, but I know what this should look like in my head. I just have no idea how it's gonna turn out when I put it together. So I'm gonna start cutting some lumber here, and I'll give you guys a cut list when I'm done, and we'll see if this comes together. All right, folks, so I tell you, if time is not on your side, you should definitely overdo everything. Go through, sand down this crappy lumber to make your bed cart or cab cart look really nice. I'll probably end up staining it too because I need to be in the shop painting and getting other stuff done, but this is how my brain works. So we're gonna make this fancy-ish, so whatever. Alrighty, so I wasted probably another 20 minutes, but man, doesn't that look nice? So let's get this into the garage and start building us a cart. All right, so what's the plan? Well, I really don't have much of one right now, but I've got an idea in my head what this should look like. And number one, I apologize for my garage. This is bad. This is what a hoarder's garage looks like. But anywho, the way I've cut my lumber, and get a pen and paper if you want to write this stuff down, but my plan is to not make this cart too tall because the cabs ride high anyway. And when we pulled the bed off of Forest, we had him stacked on 3 pallets, and pallets are generally 6 inches tall. So he was 18 inches sitting on the bottom of the bed floor, and that kept him high enough where his bed sides weren't hitting the trailer. So I'm gonna kind of shoot for that 18 to 20 inch mark. That way the cab's not too high for utilizing that. So with these scrap 2x4s, I have gone through and cut 4 12-inch ones, and that's basically gonna be for our vertical side, because I scored a while back at an auction and bought these 5-inch brand new Husky casters that they sell at Home Depot. Got it for 20 bucks, man. This was a screaming deal, but the wheels are 5, so the total top to bottom 6.5. You put the 12 there, that puts us at 18.5. I may have to elevate it a little bit more, but we'll see. So 4 at 12. I've got 1 here at 45. This is gonna be where the front of the cab rests on. I've got 2 at 38. That's basically gonna be on the bottoms. I need something wide enough for these casters to sit on, so that'll go from side to side. I've got 3 at 41. That's gonna go on the back of the cart on the top, because the cab will lean back if you just leave it flat. So I've got to add 2 2x4s more, basically jump it up about 3 inches so the cab will ride flat. I've got 4 48-inch. That's basically going to be our sides on the top and the bottom. And then I've got 3 at 35. That's going to basically be in the top and bottom for the width in between. So we'll start throwing this thing together. Again, I don't exactly know what I'm doing. The reason why I have this 45 and the 41 at that point, the front of the cab bolt holes as they go through the chassis, I believe, are at 40.5, and the rears are 37.5, if memory serves me correct. But that's why I want to have them a little bit wider, and when we go to stab the cab on here, if we need to cut it off, we can. But I just wanted to have the capability to actually bolt the cab to the cart if we need to. That way it wouldn't run the risk of falling off. Alrighty, so let's get this started. I'm gonna kind of throw things together, maybe do some time lapse in there. That way this doesn't take forever for you guys to watch. But first thing, we're just making basically your rectangle first. So if you take 2 of your 48-inch boards, get those spread out, then we need 2 of our 35s. So by taking our 35s, shoving them in between these 48s, that should give you 38 inches, since these are 2x4s. We'll get those thrown together. Just make sure you got a level or a square. I'm going to be putting everything together with 3-inch screws. And then basically what we'll do from that point is once I get these screwed together, then we'll take our 12-inch verticals, stick it to the inside of our 90s here, and we'll screw those in both directions too. So we'll see how this all turns out. All right, so one thing you need to remember to do is I always pre-drill everything out. That way I'm not splitting these boards because I'm so close to the end with that. But I'm using, again, 3-inch screws. Put two on each side from that point. And once I get that done, then we'll go through, mount our vertical pieces above it, in it, inside of it, whatever you want to call it. Getting old. Alrighty, so we got that wrapped up. I think in my head, if I flip this over, we should be able to do the same thing. 48s on each side, 35s in between, and we should have a big rectangle, but only one way to find out. Again, if you have level ground to do this, it would be better. My garage floor sucks. 48s. That's wrong. Where's my 40? I'm losing my mind. There's one. That's not right. That's right. Oh boy, losing it. Losing it. Losing it. 45. 48. Good Lord, thank you. There we go. There we go. Sorry if my butt cracks out. I have no butt, so this is viewing pleasure for you. All right, I'm gonna screw this together, make sure it's level, and that'll be done next. Alrighty, so about 2 hours into this, I'm all screwed together there, and it looks pretty dang good. Downfall is using old junk lumber is a lot of it was warped and twisted and did not want to go together too well. I mean, it is what it is, but now it's time to put the casters on and see how this all turns out. Doesn't really matter if you use the top or bottom. I picked the most flat surfaces of all these to go through and put my wheels on. It's gonna be all right, I think. Whatever. So one thing you need to be aware of is when you have the locks, make sure you put them to the outside. I've screwed that up before, putting together some car dollies, and that doesn't make it fun, so do it right the first time. All right, screw those together. Casters on, check. Flip this baby over. Ooh, fancy. She's a little wobbly. That may be my floors in here. A couple things that I did figured out. The 38-inch pieces, didn't need them, so disregard those from your cut list. I thought I was going to need it to have some meat to put these casters on, but having the 12-inch vertical pieces here along with this 90 of these 2x4s, plenty of meat on there, so don't need that, and that'll also save us some another 1.5 inches in height there. So next thing we need to do is go through and put our 41 and 45s on and get this thing wrapped up. Found out something else with that one too. I may have didn't screw up, I just figured something out. So be right there. Alrighty, so since we got this all wrapped up, now it's time to go through and put the top supports on. Basically what they'll do is hold the cab up front. Again, the cab bolt holes center to center are at 40.5 inches wide. On the rear, they're 37.5, and then on front to back, I went out and measured for us to double check. They are 41.75, so we need to make sure we space these out right on the dolly. That way, if we do want to bolt these down, we can. But one thing I screwed up on the back side here, where we have the 41 inches, we have to have 3 of them stacked up because the cab will tilt to the back if you don't. We're just trying to make it more level. But this whole thing's 38 inches wide. If our bolt holes are 37.5, how am I gonna access them? So I just had to make a quick little change. So instead of having 3 of these 2x4s at 41, I actually went through and did 2 of them at 41, and I cut this middle one down to 35.5. That way when I go through to get this put on here and bolt it down, we can go through and still drill holes on the outsides here, and we'll be able to hold the cab down that way. The front's not going to be a problem at all. So I'm going to screw these down one at a time, and I actually got a couple good size lags here, so I'll tie these all together with that. But again, just making sure we get these centered. We'll get the backs on, and then we'll do a final measurement to make sure our 41.75 is still there. Make sense? So I'm mounting these 41 inchers directly over the top of my vertical supports there. So I will have basically a 2x4 width there, and I'm just basically just going to try to go through and center this equally from side to side. Then I'll go through, put my 35.5 inch there, and then top it off with another 41 like that. So screw these down real quick, and again, I'll shoot these lags down into it too to hold them tight. So believe it or not, these are actually my old screws from my deck. I saved them because I'm, again, cheap, but get to reuse them now, so that's fun. All right, so we'll run these 2 big lags in and really send her home. Alrighty, spin this dude around and get the front one on. Man, this thing is solid. Good Lord. Same thing, just want to center this. And before I screw this down, we need to go through and verify that I still have 41.75 inch gap between these two. Perfect. Perfect. She's not the squarest thing in the world, but she'll do. Now, one thing I didn't think about when I gave you guys the material list earlier were the casters themselves. Now, the reason why I went with the 5-inch hard plastic wheels because I got a great deal on them at an auction, but most of the time I'm going to be either working in the shop or on my concrete driveway, so this thing will roll around fine. But if you guys are going to be working on a gravel driveway, or maybe your concrete in your shop's really uneven, this thing ain't going to roll around worth a hoot. So you might need to bump up and buy those pneumatic tires or the air up tires. That way you can move from concrete to gravel or get up over the seams of your older concrete and it goes smooth, because these things are really heavy once you get them loaded, and there's no way I could push a cab or a bed through this 1-inch rock. So it's just something else you need to consider. Alrighty, so I got this thing all screwed together and it's level. I had to do a little bit of shimming on one of the wheels. You know, just it is what it is, but I'll do a light little sanding on it tomorrow. I'll pull it outside when the sun's out and I'll give you a full walk around of this thing, and I don't even know if it'll work, so yeah. And here it is, the universal cab and bed cart made by the C10 Truck Nerd. And hope you're ready to have your socks blown off, because this is pretty sweet for 20 bucks what I have into it. Again, scrap lumber. All the screws were actually out of my deck stairs when we tore that thing apart, but it came out to be in the front 20.5 inches tall, top to bottom. The rear was 23. And I went out and measured my pallets again. They were actually 5 inches tall, so that bed was sitting 15 inches off of my trailer. This will be perfect though, give me a little more elevation, and it shouldn't be too tall for the cab. So I was really happy with this. I know some of you are like, oh, you need cross bracing here and here. I don't think so. I put about 400,000 screws in this thing. I mean, there's screws and lags and whatever junk I had laying around here. It's not going anywhere. It's probably stronger than the truck itself, but can't wait to go pick up the bed, put it on here, test it out, and once I do that, then we'll pull it back off and throw the cab on there. So I'm an idiot. Special effects, look out for me. Well guys, I'm gonna pat myself on the back for this one. You know, my universal cab bed cart for 67 to 72 GM trucks turned out awesome. You know, I was able to go through, get rid of a bunch of scrap lumber. I eliminated a bunch of used screws that I was hoarding for some unknown reason, but hey, it worked out. And really, I've only got 20 bucks into this whole cart, and that's what I paid for these casters at an auction. Now, I told you earlier in the video I'd give you guys a material cut list, which I'll have that down in the description below, but I told you you guys could eliminate those two 38-inch 2x4s that would go on the bottom for the casters to mount to. You may or may not need those. It all depends on how you're going to be removing the beds and the cabs off of your chassis. If you're just doing it with brute strength, your neighbors and buddies are just going to take them off, stick them right here onto the cart, that'll work perfect. But if you're using an engine hoist or a cherry picker and one of those bed bracket lifter things, if you're doing this by yourself, think about your outriggers or your cherry picker. One of them might have to be sliding underneath of this cart, and if you don't have it tall enough, it won't slide under there, so you'll either have to use bigger casters or potentially just elevate it a little bit more with that 38-inch 2x4. I'm interested though to see how you guys build these things. You know, I know some guys will use an actual truck frame with the cab mounts already on it and just put some wheels under that. Those work great. It's really heavy. Again, I'm not gonna go out here and spend $500 on some type of bed and cab carts. I'm all budget and cheap out there, but I am interested to see how you guys build yours. I think if we went through and bolted this to here, I think we could actually tip it over on its back and do some of the floor or under cab stuff with it mounted to the cart itself too. I checked all the measurements. Again, it is 40.5 up front, 37.5 bolt hole to bolt hole in the back, and 41 3/4. So my measurements, everything lined up perfect. I verified that with my chassis out back. So this should work out pretty dang cool. Well, if you guys haven't, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you come back, because we're just at the beginning of the old forest project here. So we got to get this cab off of here, and we'll get it tested on the cart and see if I need to make any alterations. Well, I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.